You can't really separate Thomas Hobbes's moral theory from his political theory, since for Hobbes, justice presupposes the existence of a sovereign who can enforce the social contract. So in this video, I want to look at some of the basics of Hobbes's political theory. According to Hobbes, rational people will try to escape the state of nature, the state of war of all against all, by entering into a social contract in which they all give up some of their rights. So as part of this social contract, they agree that whoever is elected by the majority will be their representative and sovereign. It's the fact that they are all represented by this sovereign that makes these people into a political unit, a polity, a commonwealth, as Hobbes calls it. Each of these subjects is now the author, that is the owner of the acts of that representative sovereign. So the sovereign can be a group like Parliament, or it could be an individual like the king. Hobbes prefers kings, but it's not a big deal to him. So when people are represented by a sovereign, they become a commonwealth. And that's what Hobbes nicknames Leviathan, after the biblical monster. He defines a commonwealth as one person of whose acts a great multitude, by mutual covenants one with another, have made themselves everyone the author, to the end that he may use the strength and means of them all, as he shall think expedient, for their peace and common defense. And this picture of a king composed of a whole bunch of people was the cover art for Hobbes's book Leviathan. So according to Hobbes, this sovereign has unlimited power. Nothing the sovereign representative can do to a subject, on what pretense soever, can properly be called injustice or injury, because every subject is author of every act that the sovereign doth. So for example, if the sovereign kills an innocent subject, the sovereign commits no injustice against that subject, although he may be violating a law of nature. In chapter 18, Hobbes explains why the sovereign is absolute. The sovereign makes no covenant with the subjects, and so therefore the sovereign has no obligations to his subjects, and nothing he does to them is unjust because it doesn't break any obligation to them. Second, the subjects are the authors of the sovereign's actions, and you cannot injure or commit an injustice against yourself. I mean, you can harm yourself, sure, says Hobbes, but you can't violate your own rights. And finally, any form of government is going to be liable to abuse its subjects. But any degree of governmental abuse, no matter how bad, is still preferable to having no government. That's the state of nature of war of all against all. That is the worst. Now, Hobbes extends the unlimited power of the sovereign even to what Americans think of as their First Amendment rights. The sovereign can control speech, press, assembly, and religion. And he argues this way. He says, for the actions of men proceed from their opinions. And in the well-governing of opinions consisteth the well-governing of men's actions, in order to their peace and concord. In other words, he says, people's words influence the beliefs of those around them, and beliefs lead to actions, and those actions might be actions against the sovereign or against other subjects, leading back to a state of war. So what liberty does that leave for the subjects? Well, subjects are only free to do what the laws permit. Any violation of the laws or resistance to the sovereign is unjust because it violates the subject's covenant that they have made to submit to the sovereign. The only exceptions might be this, that you always have a right of self-defense to preserve your life, your family, or even your honor. It's not clear, however, whether these exceptions are really compatible with Hobbes's absolutism. But that's what he gives us in any case.